This one just says you're live, and that one has a countdown.
Yes, here we are. We're live.
Good morning.
We did
Welcome
it.
to KNSDH. I haven't said that in a while.
I know, we keep forgetting we need our
Yeah.
signs back.
I know we do, our on-air
sign.
For sure. Okay, so what are we talking about today?
Well, I heard through the grapevine that we're discussing mostly like veterinary costs, like where it's kind of coming from, what's driving it, insurance, this type of kind of angle on things. So as opposed to like informing you about medical diseases, mostly just like the practicalities of owning a pet, how much is it going to cost, why does it cost what it does, and where is it headed, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So I think Rachel, who's off screen, off camera, she's got some statistics from Rover who have been putting together like what is cost of ownership on I think it's dogs mostly.
Mostly dogs. I did cats too. Come on now. I
Cats. Can't forget the cats.
You can't.
Because I have a pretty good base on horses because of my history, but dogs and cats and even horses and just kind of it's very interesting. They've got a lot of averages. People will spend anywhere, like say monthly, say on let's see, what was it?
LJ, can y'all hear Rachel okay from where she's at or no? Because like if not, I'll be repeating them. I know you're watching, girl.
Well, I'll just give this to you. It's kind, and you guys can go with it. Just a basic, like the premise is on food per se. Some people will spend $25 a month. Some people will spend $325 a month.
Right.
And why is that?
Yeah.
But between food and vet care and then lifestyles based on a Chihuahua all the way to a Rottweiler, kind of walk us through how people can be prepared.
Yes, and also just like being aware of our location too. So like my sister lives in Colorado, and she tells me this all the time. Anytime that you feel like your clients are frustrated with costs, please send them a copy of my bills.
Well, like just to give you an actual statistic, the average spay or neuter is like $750, $800 for a spay or neuter, right? Ranging from, on this one, it says the lowest is $340, the highest is $1,500.
$1,500 for spay?
That's what I'm saying, depending on where you are in the country, where you go. So just, there's your pad to stand on.
Thanks.
And go.
Oh, okay.
So we're definitely not 1,500.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just, so she's quoting anywhere from $350 to $1,500 for a spay at a veterinary hospital. This is excluding low cost spays and neuters because those are government subsidized usually. And we don't have that, we're, and they operate just in a totally different, they have a totally different setup and procedures and so forth.
Definitely scale.
Yeah. So, and I was just like at a meeting the other day, and the other day was anything like after COVID and before yesterday. Just for reference. And she was talking about how the average spay that she was quoting was like $600. And the average human spay, does anybody I'm going to pause for just, my mom and I play this game where we pause and let you think of a number in your head for what you think that the human spay would be. And the punchline is $50,000 is the average human ovariohysterectomy, or what we call in the dog, the spay. Just a spay. We're just removing organs out of your dog's abdomen. But yeah. And I will be honest. I quoted a Great Dane spay yesterday, and which was after the other day, just for context again.
Gotcha.
Yesterday. So, and I about had a heart attack because it was $600. But Great Danes are different, and this kind of blending back to the original question of like this range thing. So here, like a dog spay for a Chihuahua might be just around
$243.
Yeah, and that kind of around $200, depending on if they're vaccinated or not. Are they already on a heartworm prevention? A lot of those things change our estimates, like because we'll do this together, or if they aren't on heartworm prevention, we have to add the heartworm test, so we know, because that changes your anesthetic risks and so forth. But this Great Dane, they have a lot of issues with anesthetic risks with clotting disorders, and so we have to run a special blood test to check for risks for that condition. And if they have that risk, then we pre-medicate them with vitamin K for a certain period of time, blah, blah, blah. And that spay estimate came out at $600, and I about had a heart attack because I even didn't realize how much things were going up because we just have to purchase these tests, right? And then we have to then, we have to buy them at a certain cost and then therefore sell them at a certain cost. And I didn't realize how much even those had gone up. And then of course the drugs that we were required to sedate them, a Chihuahua is going to use like 2 mils. And this dog's going to use like 20 mils, and it's expensive because we do not spare expenses on anesthetic drugs. We use top line, safest drugs available across the board, because why would you ever not?
Because things are going to happen in life no matter what, and when they do, we can at least go with we did the best we could.
Exactly. We never take unnecessary risks.
Because even with even the safest thing will still have trouble sometimes, just like people.
Yeah. So never take unnecessary risks. Right. And so anyway, veterinary medicine costs are higher than they used to be, but relative to human medicine, still extremely
very affordable.
Yeah. You just got to know what to expect. So, and then like Rachel and I were talking about yesterday about like just like the food thing, you might spend anywhere. And my sister, before she got a cat, she's like, how much do you think I'm going to feed her? Like, how much is that going to cost? And so you start looking at things and it's like, well, you might spend $25 a month if you have a teeny tiny cat or dog.
I went the wrong way.
And if you have let's say you have a big dog, hypothetically, a German Shepherd
maybe,
who weighs 90 pounds. And let's say he develops a food allergy and you're having to buy him a specific food for that. There is nothing stopping you from spending $350 a month on his dog food, maybe $500, depending on how sensitive he is and what way you choose to go. Like if I wanted to put him on a protein specific fresh pet food, I would spend $500 a month doing so.
Nobody here does that.
Nobody in this room has 2 dogs on specific farmer's dog select protein diet.
I will say that is, but
it's effective.
Here's another little budget thing. Sometimes you choose what you spend money on.
Yeah.
If food will solve the problem, then you're not spending the money on
your medication and vet
trips point every time.
That's right.
So you do make your choices, do your research, talk to your vet. Know before you go in with the problem.
And also get them suckers on insurance before they have a pre-existing condition. Some of your insurance companies will actually cover prescription foods.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of, I know we talked about this last week, but one of the biggest takeaways when we're talking about financing veterinary care for your pet is that pet insurance is the way to go. I read an article the other day,
just before yesterday.
It was actually a couple years ago. It might have been during COVID. Anyway, talking about like, it was speaking to veterinary professionals about how to speak to owners about finances and buying pet insurance. And it was like, ask your owners, can you afford to take care of 2 $10,000 emergencies a year?
Yeah.
Because that could happen, right?
Wow.
Like,
it doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't. Like, so your dog gets hit by a car at midnight and you're rushing it to the ER, which is going to be more expensive than your GP. You drop $10,000 to get your broken leg fixed, and he's got some wraps on, and then you take him home, and 3 days later he eats the wraps.
I knew that was
at 2:00 in the morning now, so you're still back at the ER doing an emergency procedure. Yeah, now in Oklahoma you probably haven't spent $20,000, but you've probably spent over 10.
Yeah, if I were guessing. And a lot of GPs don't even do ortho repairs. We do here because we're fortunate enough to have the good Dr. Trussell, who is brilliant at orthopedic work. But not a lot of GPs do that. And if you're going to a specialty hospital, I just had somebody come the other day that their veterinarian that they routinely see sent them here because they needed an endoscope, and they were being quoted anywhere between $2,000 and $4,000 just to have an endoscope for potential gastric ulcers, because they were having to refer them into a specialty hospital in the city. Now, here we're able to keep those costs down. Their estimate was, I don't know, like $400 for the same procedure. But it's expensive. $400 is still a lot of money, especially when you're not expecting to spend it.
For it. Yeah. Yeah, and I think I think a lot of people do kind of struggle with the idea of, I have a 2-year-old dog, I should be buying it dog food and its wellness, and then something happens.
Yeah.
They get recurrent ear infections. Or...
Just so this weekend I was outside. I took my kids out to ride bikes, and my shepherd isn't like the best bike riding companion because he's just lopsided. So anyway, so he was in the backyard watching us, and he jumps up, and he's a goofball because he's still a puppy, 16 months into this, and his brain is still very much a puppy.
Yes.
And he jumps up on the fence, and as he's like coming down, he gets, like how a fence gate will like come together with the gate and the thing, gets his little wrist stuck there. And now I'm on the other side of the fence. He's flipping out, and I'm trying to reach over and grab his 90 pounds of puppy who's flipping around like an alligator. And I was like, this is how it happens. This is it. And Dr. Trussell was going to be out of the office till Wednesday. This was like on Saturday or Sunday or something. And I was like, I'm going to have to take my own dog. I can't do that surgery. It's a good thing he's on insurance. But anyway, hindsight is he did not break his arm. So that was great. But he could have. Could have gone differently. He managed to pop up enough to like unwedge himself. Because I wasn't going to get it done. I was like, can I hop this fence? I don't know. Like, if I can hop the fence or not still. I'm 40.
You could do it.
I could do it if I had to. I was one leg up when he popped his arm.
There you go.
But anyway, and so I was actually telling my receptionist what started a lot of this visit today. As I was talking to my receptionist about it, and Shelly, for those of you who know her, and we were talking about insurance because she just got 2 young dogs. Usually, she only rehomes or takes in senior dogs that have lost their home. But for weird events, she wound up with 2 young dogs. And we were talking about insurance for them. And I was telling her, for my shepherd, my insurance premium is about $43 a month, somewhere change in there. And my 11-year-old Pitty, bully, mix, something, he was a rescue, we can speculate. He is, I think they quoted him at like $68 a month. So it's really not a huge swing. So if you've got an older dog, it's still worth getting them started on insurance because, the eventuality of that dog having problems is a guarantee. Like it is, that is the nature of this game, is that they are all going to develop a problem at some time. So even if you're older dogs, get them on insurance.
Yeah. And, having insurance on our pets also, I think it allows us as pet caretakers, whether we're on the veterinary side or the owner side, to be more proactive with some of our care also. Arthritis in dogs is actually not an old dog disease. It's something that starts when they're 18 months old, Ruben. And so if we can start them on preventative measures that's covered by insurance early, then we don't have a shepherd that's 8 years old and broken down in his back end because we haven't done anything.
Like Adequin, for example, which both of our old dogs are on, or geriatric camels, as I call them. Dog. Yes, they the Adequin injection is really, it's a joint injection that we are not into the joint. It's a subcutaneous injection that's for joint support, but it astronomically is more geared towards prevention than treatment. But it's expensive, and so a lot of times people they don't feel invested in spending that kind of money until their dog is clinically having problems with arthritis, and then its potential for benefit has gone down dramatically. Really, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure with arthritis, and once that cartilage is gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
And the Adequin is designed to protect the joint. So if we've got insurance that's going to cover, we can take an X-ray at 2 to 3 years of age and see the flat spots on those femoral heads and say, ooh, it's beginning. Yeah. And we start the prevention then. And now, like Mariah says, is Dr. Goodall. I call her Mariah a lot. But you guys, you can take that. Anyway, she as she was indicating the Rachel's laughing at me hysterically. She said she wanted our clients. Rachel says, I want our clients to hear what you guys say when you're in the back and no one's around. So this is the curtain, right? But anyway, now instead of it being an 8-year-old dog that's already having a really hard time ambulating, maybe we are pushing those symptoms off till they're 12. There is nothing more heartbreaking than a dog that is mentally able to do all the things and physically unable to do all the things.
Oof.
And it is devastating to watch.
Those are my days now. That's what I do now.
Yeah. So that is why rehab is something we're really passionate about here. And that's why we're gearing up in this remodel, just to kind of circle back on that popcorn. We're going to have space for the rehab.
Popcorn. I had a good popcorn and I lost it because you made me laugh pretty hard, actually. Oh, and if, not everybody's ready to laugh on insurance yet, and I get that.
Yeah.
So for me, for example, nobody here has auto withdrawal out of their paycheck every 2 weeks that goes directly to Northside, except me. Just because there's a way to also budget outside of insurance, as long as you're doing one or the other. Then you're not left sitting in a room and examining devastated that you can't help your best friend.
Yeah, and that's a great point too. A lot of people do, instead of paying insurance of $43 a month, have a little separate account stashed for $43 to get drafted into for savings. That was really common before insurance was as good as it is, because I think when pet insurance first started, it was like,
yeah,
so
like, we're not going to cover the exam and we're not going to cover diagnostics.
And if you
until
have a
reach
specific breed,
yeah.
then we're not going to cover any of the conditions that breed is associated with.
Yeah. There used to be a long list of caveats and addendums that as there's been more competition in the market, luckily we've moved away from.
Yeah. And so that was really common then. And now, like, if you're wondering maybe what do I do about getting insurance, there's a website that I like to refer people to as Policy Advisor, like PAW, and it's like Travelocity for pet insurance. You can basically go on and compare and contrast different policies to see what's a better fit for you. Play with those deductibles, play with what you want to cover. Now, I personally don't recommend in Oklahoma selecting the wellness coverage because of you're basically probably going to pay more for that extra coverage than what you would have paid just in cash at the vet clinic to get those wellness needs met. But the accident, illness, and injury is critical.
Yep, for sure.
And if you have questions about those, you can call and talk to us.
Yeah.
But insurance is great. If not, be budgeting, because I don't know how many times you guys have done it. I've done it enough, and I've barely been here. Sat in a room knowing somebody's heart was breaking because they did not have
The money to do what they wanted to
do. And I know that I have felt that before. On the day that I lost my horse I'd had for 23 years, you just go, I can't stand this thought, but I can't afford this thought. And luckily I had help. But had I not, it's a tragic thing. So budgeting is important. It's as important as putting food on your table to put food on theirs.
Yeah, no such thing as a free dog, as they say.
They're not. In fact, statistics show
statistics. I love
that you will spend anywhere from $35,000 to $50,000 on your pet in its lifetime.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I was actually just doing that. I was like, because at first I thought that's insane. There's no way.
True.
And then I added up, just like with my shepherd, for example, his food, his insurance. He gets groomed occasionally. He's a long-haired shepherd, so he needs it more than some. And that's without vet bills, and came up to $20,000 alone just on those three things. And then when you add the rug he chewed, and the seatbelt that he chewed out of the back of my car, and the training that I sent him to, worth it. It gets up there real fast.
So and you can look this up, rover.com actually has a great article about it. The cost of owning a dog. They also have it for cats.
Rover.com.
Cats are a little less expensive on the whole, but they also have monthly, but they also have longer lives. So honestly, if you did the math, it might average out in a lot of ways, depending on how you keep your cats indoors or whatnot.
Yeah, my cat's insurance policy is only $14.
Yeah, well, shout out to the Alonzos and the Ruths of the world, because their cats are their kids. But it goes from adoption fees or purchase price, spays and neuters, microchip, initial vet exam and vaccinations, which you have a puppy, that's more in a row. Collars and harnesses, leash, food bowls, poop bags, crates, beds, shampoos and brush. Groomers isn't even on here.
Did you get daycare?
Yes, stain and odor removers, potty pads, toys, treats, basic veterinary care, emergency care, pet licensing, competition fees, food and house sitting, pet sitting, boarding.
Yeah.
It's not just vet bills.
Right. Vet bills are just a tiny fraction. And I think a lot of it gets spent on those other things. Even sometimes just the purchase of the pet. A lot of times we'll have clients that, save up quite a bit of money to buy a specific breed, even a couple $1,000s, and then they're tapped out, and then the puppy gets parvo the next week, and they're like,
I just spent $4,000 on this dog.
That does not exclude you.
Yeah.
When you even, or people will think because they paid a ton of money for a dog, like you spend $5,000 on a German Shepherd instead of $800 on a German Shepherd, that German Shepherd is going to be less likely to develop, perennial fistulas or perineal fistulas, however you want to say it, and perennial every year. That's actually good word.
Once a year you get a fistula.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be nice if we knew?
This is an episode of Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. And, so you think that you're going to be less susceptible because you paid all this money for this really well-bred dog, and that is just not how it works.
Yeah. There's some breeds and some genes that are just so pervasive. You just have to be prepared for all eventualities. There's even, it's not super common anymore as we've done more of like the Orthopedic Association for Animals testing, or Foundation for Animals. But dogs who've had OFA negative or past parents who come in and they actually still have hip dysplasia.
Yeah.
So just because your breeder did everything right and you did everything right doesn't mean your dog's going to be perfect.
And listen, if you have a German Shepherd, a French Bulldog, an English Bulldog, anybody else you want to throw in like the top 5 breeds of genetic risks as young kiddos?
No.
Shar-Peis.
Yeah.
They're not super common dogs, but they have a lot of genetic issues. Honestly, anyone with a golden retriever, that dog is going to have a foreign body surgery pretty quickly. Yeah. Listen, y'all need to get insurance before you show up for your first vet visit.
Yeah.
Because I just had a Frenchie puppy, 10 weeks old. Owner had just paid a lot of money to acquire this really well-bred dog and had the dog for 2 weeks, brought it in for his first wellness visit, and we identified a very, very large congenital issue in that puppy that is now pre-existing because I found it on the very first, within 10 seconds of meeting this puppy, oh, he's so cute, and listen, and we have a problem. And so now we have a pre-existing condition, and that's not going to be covered by insurance. And so I strongly encourage you for those high-risk breeds. In fact, the more money you paid for your dog, the more likely you are to need to put that dog on insurance before you ever walk in these doors.
Yeah. If you have a golden doodle, and those go for some money.
They do.
They're going to have allergies at their first appointment.
Yes.
We're going to be telling you, we probably ought to start some antihistamines when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. We could put Benadryl in the puppy care kits.
Rachel's over there, not looking at us.
Yeah, she has 2 Portuguese water dogs that have really severe allergy issues that take a lot of work to maintain. And it is a lot of work too, not just money. That's something we're thinking about. If you get a big dog like a Great Dane, be prepared for some manual labor.
Yeah, I don't know what's on our schedule for next week, but I'd like to talk about other types of budgets, like time budgeting and emotional budgeting and that sort of thing too, because that's part of dog ownership also. And it actually plays into financial budgeting.
You just segued so good. All I was going to say is sure did. Good job.
Sure.
Talking about, because personal anecdotes are important. My Miss Bethany, who is our brilliant community manager, makes the building go, always teases me about my dogs because they're in here all the time to have things checked out or looked at, their ears. I need help. I'll hold them. Someone will clean them with me or whatnot. And I can't remember how she said it one day. It was not mean, but she said something to the effect of, will you ever do that again? And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I never had heard of a Portuguese water dog before these 2. I love them so much. I don't know that I'll ever have another breed. Yeah. Now, I don't know what'll surprise me someday, but I love them so much that my life, that's part of why this comes out. It is expensive, but I don't make a whole lot of money and I can make it work because I've been taught here how to budget appropriately for things to come. And that's what we want to share with you. It's not that it's impossible. It's not that you can't pick that breed. It's that when you do, there's an emotional and a work component that go into it that support the financial part. And there are days I'm running behind going, I'm going to get my quarter jar and run to the bank real quick. But you guys work with me. And now my dogs are not on Apoquel. We only have to have side points when the weather's real bad. And I'm managing it with food and ear cleanings and knowledge that I didn't have before. And that is a huge part of knowing what comes next.
Knowledge is half the battle.
Yeah. So that's the real point of all of this. And I love next week. You're on.
Okay, sounds great.
Because really, I just make these up anyway. So whatever you guys want to do. And don't forget, y'all can ask questions.
Yeah, ask questions anytime.
So
I think Rachel kind of made a point about, like, she says we work with her. What does that mean? That means she comes in and she says, I have $100. And we work within that budget. And so even if you don't have pet insurance and you have an old dog and you haven't been saving for its whole life because you haven't thought about it until it got Cushing's disease.
Or someone dropped the dog off in your front yard because you live in the country and all of a sudden you've been, you feel you want to do what you can for this animal, but
it's got all the problems.
It's got all the problems.
Just what we would like to ask of you is be upfront about what your financial restrictions are so that we can work within them, because I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is to get to the end of an appointment. We've done these diagnostics because that was within the budget, but we didn't know that that was the only budget. And so now this, dog needs treatment for whatever we found, and
we don't have the money.
We don't have the money.
And I think one other thing I would say too, besides just being upfront about what we're working with, because we will work with anything, and we're not judging anybody here.
No.
As long as we've got our hearts in the right place, we can get through almost anything together. But the other thing Rachel said that you may or may not have picked up on is she said, I don't make a lot of money, but I make it work, because when clients come in and they are like, veterinary medicine is so expensive and y'all are just money hungry, and we hear that all the time, and it's so crushing to our souls, because these team members that we work with, they don't make anywhere near what they deserve to make because this industry is so discounted. So they're getting by on barely above minimum wage. They're doing it because they love it. We don't have a lot of extra money. Every time we discount something to a client, we're essentially stealing money from our staff, is the way that I see it as a business owner. We have to pinch pennies together to put together big remodel projects and make really smart choices and mind our P's and Q's. We don't have a lot of extra funds. So, we are working with you if you can just work with us on the flip side too, to understand these medicines cost us money. These machines cost us money. These people need money to be here so that they can feed their families and take care of their pets. And that's just the way the world works. And as inflation goes up, they need more money to survive. And so we need to pay them more money, which requires more money coming in. And as much as I would love for this to all be like, not about, money being involved, and we were just like trading chicken eggs and stuff.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
That'd be great.
Community
That'd be
garden.
great. But it's not how the world works, because we go to the grocery store for chicken eggs now.
Well, I don't.
Now I don't. The Mullins hooked me up with some eggs, and it was like a variety pack. There was like giant eggs and little green eggs and brown eggs. Oh, it was the coolest thing in the world.
I don't
big
say
ones were
that
duck eggs?
my eggs came from this lady right here, Dr. MMG.
Yeah,
Chickens.
she's got her own eggs. So
Chickens.
if you need to barter, don't bring eggs.
Yeah, no.
Don't bring cheese either. Most of us can't eat dairy.
Yeah. I do think like 75% of our doctor staff is lactose intolerant.
Or have a true dairy allergy. Yeah. Good times. All right, listen, I appreciate y'all. Sorry that we kind of unloaded some of our backside things too, but I think it's helpful if we all understand where we're all coming from. So.
Yeah. I think that is the whole goal.
Yep.
Always.
There's our 30 minutes. I appreciate y'all sticking with us. LJ, we love you too. I hope the thing is going better on the forehead.
Yeah, and speaking of food, I get to tell this because Farmer's Dog called me yesterday. Because they work with us as ambassadors, because we work in a vet clinic, I actually get a discount. So I'm feeding both of my dogs for the cost of one. Still not cheap, but affordable for me. And they sent me a thing yesterday that said not just discount, but I can send anybody that's interested, I can send a box of Farmer's Dog to their dog for free.
I actually got 10 as well.
Did you?
Ruben's been eating the
Okay.
Farmer's Dog. And so I got that same email not too
Yeah.
long ago.
Yeah.
So if anybody's wanting to start it, let us know and we'll hook you up.
Okay, yeah.
She's
Well,
gonna go more LJ.
yeah. What'd she say?
Oh, we've got her little one in a cone.
Oh no, that's crap. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
It's good though.
the cones are the worst.
It's just
Is that Ziggy?
you guys
Yeah.
are champions.
Yeah, it's too bad we can't put a medical pet shirt over her forehead.
Right.
Yeah. Just tape it up. All right, love you guys.
Okay, bye.
I went exactly where I wanted to go. Did you not think so?
I don't know if I